Hey guys, Lee Simmons, back with another video. Today we have a video from one of man I have great respect for, Mr. Jason Wilson. He's the author of Cry Like a Man and his new book, Battle Cry. So I read Cry Like a Man, amazing book. And Battle Cry is on my queue, so I'm gonna get to that at some point, probably early next year. Always remember to read, guys. Stay up on your reading. So today, he looks like he's having, he and a few other gentlemen are having a conversation with this young African-American man. And I saw this and I thought it was just absolutely perfect and something we definitely need to talk about when it comes to aggression and assertiveness. So there's a difference. So here we go.
Talk to like a woman and they tell me, oh, I need you to be a little more assertive or a little more aggressive or a little more of a man. That hits me because I'm like, that's not me.
I would like to know, why aren't you as assertive?
If something truly like hits my soul, I become assertive, but a lot of the times I always just brush things off.
See, it's a big difference between aggression and being assertive.
Yes.
Aggression is power out of control. It's just, if I'm fighting my brother Malik, I'm just hitting him everywhere. Assertiveness is like, no, I'm gonna hit him right here so I can break his jaw. It's direct. I hear that I don't want to be aggressive. That's wise. But not to be assertive when you need to be. You couldn't even protect your family.
How does it feel having heard what he said?
I always connected aggression with assertiveness, but assertiveness is more calculated than aggression. And that's something that I never even thought of.
Well,
it's a lot to talk about.
A lot to unpack there. I love this conversation. I love the fact that young men are having this conversation, especially young men that share our reflection, and they're older, wiser men that are giving them good counsel. Not the OG on the block, not that bull crap, but some straight up, serious, masculine information that young men need to hear.
Yeah.
And so I think that a lot of our young men, well, I don't think I know, the statistics say that most of our young black men are raised by their mothers primarily as a primary caregiver and the primary disciplinarian and the primary teacher. That's a problem. Let's not to take anything away from mothers, because mothers are amazing. I love my mother. And my wife is an amazing mother. But we have two sons.
Yeah.
We have two sons that are men now. And she didn't teach them how to be men.
I can't.
She can't. I did. And my sons know the difference between aggression and assertiveness. What I told my sons and what I tell young men, aggression comes from a place of insecurity. Every time you see that guy, like I played a lot of sports growing up, and even as a man, even in the military, there's always that guy that's overly aggressive. He's just hyper, people call it hyper masculine. He always feels like he has to prove himself. He always feels like everybody's against me, the whole world's against me. He's ultra aggressive. Assertiveness comes from a place of confidence.
I like that.
And this is where the distinction is not made, because in our community or amongst ourselves, even as men, even when we'll talk about the relationship side of it in a second here, is that aggression is also they're synonymous with assertiveness. It's not the same.
Right.
It's not the same. An assertive man is confident. You can't talk to me like that. No, we're not going to do that today. I do that all the time. Done that with you.
Yeah.
I'm not going to jump. I'm not going to jump in your face and grab you up and snatch you up. You talking to me like that, girl? I ain't got to do that. Hey, look, watch your tone. I don't like that.
Yep.
That's a difference between that and me jumping up and screaming and calling her out her name and calling her a B word. That's a whole different thing. But see, we have taken those two and we married them together, and we say if a man is not aggressive, then he's weak. That's a bad thing.
Yeah.
That's a bad thing. And so this young man here, he has taken that and he thinks that being assertive is aggressive. And that's how you get the weaker men that you see out here. It's because they don't know the difference between the two.
Yeah, I want to back up and say, I think most of us women don't know the difference between assertiveness and aggression. Because if you think about, I'll take it back to when I was a teacher. I had, in my last classroom that I was a teacher of, most of my students were boys. And so boys are gonna do boy things. They're full of energy. They want to play. They were adorable. I taught kinder, so they want to play. They want to just do things that were just typical boy behavior. But when you see them doing too much, then it's bad. So I think most women and most females don't know the difference between assertiveness and aggression, and we tie them together. And then when we want you to protect us, well, why didn't you stand up for me? Well, I thought I was too aggressive.
Yeah.
So which one is it?
Yeah. So society is churning out by the millions young men who don't understand what it is to be a man, and because they've been taught that inherent masculinity, that inherent assertiveness that a man should have, and even aggression if needed, is no longer good enough. That's bad. That's not gonna work.
You're right, but that what you're talking about is only taught by the father, or taught by the father figure in a boy's life. We can't teach that. So I think that's where it comes from a female perspective, because I can't teach you that. I don't really understand it myself. And it may even make me nervous or scared because I don't understand male behavior. I haven't studied men enough. I don't understand male behavior. So when I see a man asserting himself, I think he's maybe out of control or he becomes dangerous. But when it comes down to it, somebody breaks in his house, I need you to straight up assert yourself.
Yeah, and it's an unfair equation.
It is unfair.
Because he's expected somehow to turn it on and then turn it back off.
Because you have to be emotionally intelligent.
But oh my goodness, don't get me started on that. But he doesn't. You
have to know when. You have to be.
Well, he does. You do need to know when, but you need to know how, and you need to know why.
Yeah.
But these young men are not been taught any of that.
And you need to know that's a part of you that's okay. You need to know that's a part of you that if you need to tap into it, it's like a tool in your toolbox. If I need to grab assertiveness real quick, I can grab it.
And if I need to grab aggression.
If you need to grab aggression because you got,
there is a time and place for
it.
There is a time and place for aggression. And aggression doesn't always have to come in the form of physical contact. However, you don't need aggressiveness when it comes to this. Assertiveness should be enough. And if your wife respects you or your woman respects you, that should be enough. However, what happens when you have one of those young ladies who don't know the difference, and then she thinks you're weak because you're not aggressive. And so this young man, I've met him 1,000 times.
You mentor him.
I know exactly what he's talking about.
Yeah.
He doesn't know. He's not a weak guy, but he doesn't know how to control himself. He's chosen the path of least resistance, which is passivity. But now he's having trouble in a relationship, like you said, because women want him to be more aggressive or more assertive, and then she doesn't know what that looks like, so he's weak.
I have a charge to all mothers. You really have to be aware of the words that you speak. Our words carry so much weight, and I think there's a lot of well-intentioned moms out there that you think you're doing a really good thing or you have good intentions, but sometimes the words that we say, it echoes throughout a child's life, and then it grows up in them and they become men and they're unsure or they're uncertain and they don't really know how to conduct themselves. And I would also say, if you are a single mom, I don't want you to be prideful. I want you to hear what I'm saying. If you are a single mother, you need to make sure that your son, is in a situation where he's able to have a father figure, whether it's his actual biological father, maybe you marry again, coach, pastor, someone that, uncle, grandpa, someone that can be consistent. So I think we really need to kind of own our part in this. We need to pay attention to the words that we speak and making sure that there is a strong, positive, masculine role model in his life.
And as fathers, if you impregnate a woman, young man, or men, period, that's your responsibility. You have responsibility to that child. You don't have to be with her. You don't have to do that. But you got to raise that young man or that young lady, and they need a masculine influence on them. I don't care how hard she makes it on you. Some people will say there's a point where you just got to walk away. I understand that from a logic standpoint, but I'm seeing the fruit of too many men walking away, too many men giving up, too many men not saying I'm gonna fight for my child. And I know the court system, and I get all of that. I get it all. However, if you lay down with that woman, you create a life, you owe that child a responsibility.
That's right.
I don't care what you say. You can get mad and say this is hard, it sucks. Guess what? You made a child. You owe that child a responsibility, especially if you have a male child. You owe that responsibility. This young man on the screen we're looking at is lost. And his father, whoever he is, has failed him. And it's taking older men that are taking the time to sit down with him and teach him something to replace what you should have been doing the whole time.
Yeah.
This guy looks like he's probably in his mid to late 20s.
20s, yeah.
He should have this on lock by now. He should understand the difference between assertiveness and aggressiveness, and he's lost. Absolutely lost. So I get it. The world's hard on men. We done millions of videos on it. But there is nothing on this planet that's gonna keep me from my kids.
That's
Not
right.
you and not anybody else besides death itself.
That's right.
That's the truth.
Yeah, that's how it should
the truth. And so at the end of the day, we have to own what we have to own.
be. Yep.
And we got to own our emotions. We got to own the fact that we don't know what we're doing sometimes.
Yeah.
And the aggression comes out in so many ways. So I want to end the video by showing you a little video here.
Do me a favor, okay? I'm gonna pour this into this glass, and I want you to tell me when to stop. Deal? Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Stop.
Keep going.
Stop.
Now, fellas, this right here represents us. And what happens is we take in everything that we experience throughout the day, right? But because us as young men, we keep it in, listen, fellas, trying to be tough, we don't let it out, we don't talk about it, we keep it in. What eventually happens?
You overflow.
We overflow and then we make a mess. Now, this is just water, but a mess could be we cussed the teacher out. A mess could be we got in a fight with our friend. Does everybody understand that? So as young men, we have to find safe places that we can talk about what we are going through and what we're feeling. Does that make sense?
As an educator, would
Yes, I love it. I love those life lessons. Yeah, he gave them game. He really broke it down for them. He didn't just demonstrate it, but he showed them. Yeah, let me tell you how this mess can show up.
I love their enthusiasm. They were just so enthusiastic. They want to learn. They were they learned a valuable lesson that day.
Very, very
And
great
that
lesson.
gentleman there, God bless him, that is amazing.
Yep.
He taught those boys a valuable lesson in what happens when we don't control our emotions.
Yeah.
And when we don't, the mess that we can make as men, and we don't know how to do that, and we have not learned. And so with this video was just really heartbreaking to me to watch this young man struggle, because those little boys learned something that day that he should have learned 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's just sad that we have so many men walking around here that don't know the difference. And to the young ladies, you know, a guy ain't got to be a thug just to be a man. That's not it. Just because a man's soft-spoken doesn't make him weak. That's a man under control. You want a man that's under control. You don't want a man that you got to talk down every 5 minutes. That's not masculinity. That's not a real man. A man that knows how to assert himself and knows how to control his emotions is powerful beyond belief. I want to be said about it, but for now, that's enough said.